Justin, you know Lost in Space is fiction, yes? Okay, just checking. What I find amazing about the planet they landed on in Lost in Space is how much it looks like Maple Ridge. Anyways, it's also amazing how much the planet after a nuclear war looks like Maple Ridge. And amazing how after a lightning strike that created the fastest human alive, that it looks like, indeed, Maple Ridge.
Actually, it's Vancouver.
All right. So, here we go. You people should be able to tell me 5 different things I can write here after the word slope. It is M. That is one thing it is. If you see the letter M, it represents the slope. What's another one? Rise over run. So it's a fraction with rise and run. Rise and run means how far up and down divided by how far left to right. Give me another one. You already did your one. Let somebody else have a turn. Oh, careful. It's tough to choose when this many hands go up, people. I don't want to make anybody feel that their contribution isn't valid by not being able to pick them. So,
It's in the notes.
no kidding. Well, I guess you're finishing this off. Go ahead.
Y squared minus 1.
Not y squared. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's 3. There's 2 more.
Changing y over changing x.
Delta y over delta x, if we're only talking about x's and y's. And lastly,
Changing dv over
right, delta dv over delta iv, in case we're talking about anything other than x's and y's. Like, say, for example, distance and time. Right? Okay, now, all of you are going to use that knowledge that you all possessed, and you are going to draw 4 different lines on this graph that is on your piece of paper. You are going to put line E in this corner, quadrant somewhere. You are going to put line F down here. You are going to put line G over here. And you're going to put line H down here. I am not going to tell you how to do that. You are going to just do that. Go. If you do not remember how, talk to your neighbor. If you still do not remember how, pretend like you're drawing it and wait until I draw it and then frantically copy it down. Go. All right, now listen, please. If you are in the dark, there is a reason I did not give you explanation, because I wanted you all to recognize something. I did not tell you where to start, because it need not matter where you start, because slope is not a location, nor is it a distance. It is a value. So I can pick any spot in this corner. Now, I said I wanted the whole line to be in this corner. So if I put my first dot up there, that's green. I wanted it to be black. If I put my first dot up there, and I need a slope of 2/5, since it's already set up as a fraction, that's rise over run, and it's already set up for me. If I was going to rise by 2, what direction would I go? Up. But I have stupidly picked the top number here. So I cannot go up or I will go off the graph. So what must I then therefore do? I must go down 2, which is -2. But I need my slope to be a positive value. So if my rise is negative, what must my run be? Also negative, which means it must go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. And then I connect the line. This is my rise and my run. It is not the line that I graphed. The line that I graphed is this. Does everybody understand? If you draw the rise and the run, Is it possible to get the slope wrong? No, especially since in your data booklet, I have been quite pleasantly reminding you that it is rise over run right there. You don't even have to memorize it. Right? So, now we've got to do the red one down in this corner. Its slope is -4. What's weird about that? Eric?
No other number.
There is no other number. Or is there?
But there is.
What is it?
It's 1.
It is over 1. So I choose any point on the graph, that one right there, for example. I need a rise of -4. So, if I go down 4, will I stay on the graph? No, so I better go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a rise of +4, but I need at least one negative. So where does it go? It left.
Oh, I did it backward. Oh.
And there is my -1. Again, the rises and the runs are the yellow one. The line I graphed is the blue one. Does everyone understand? Good. Now, G has a slope of 0. Is that the death slope? Or is that the boring hop, 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 hop on your snowboard slope? It's the hop, hop, hop on your snowboard because it is a 0 slope. No fun to ski.
But that's when you take your Instagram selfies.
Of course it is.
Because then it's not dangerous.
Because that has 0 rise. Right? And finally, H7. Choose a point anywhere. How do I get 7? What is it really? 7 over 1. 7 is positive, so I go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus 7. There's my rise. How do I do a run of 1? Right 1. Positive 1. And there is that line. Now, what do you notice about all the blue lines as the value of the slope increases? It gets steeper. The higher the number, the steeper the slope, which makes sense because we already know that straight up and down is infinity, which is the highest number you can get. Everybody good? Everybody can find a slope if you graph it on a graph? Everybody can count?
I like counting.
Good. Let us move on, cabbages, and make sure you can indeed count.
I think I focus better with the safety goggles.
Maybe you do. It takes the stress off of possibly losing your eyes in a violent math class accident. Now, let us use these points to build a line. Where will my first point go in I? -5, -3. Where is that? So -5 on the x-axis, which means I go left or right? Left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what? Down. 1, 2, 3. And I put my first dot. Where's the second dot? Right 2 and up 1. And I connect them. How will I find the slope? You've got to count rise and run. How far up did I go? 4. Positive or negative? Positive. Now where did I go? How far? 7. Is it positive or negative? Positive. So that makes this slope 4 over 7. Does everyone understand? Count on the graph. What if you were going the other way? Well, then you would go down here, which was -4, and across here, which was -7. -4 and -7 is the same as +4 over 7. Does everybody understand? Notice, please, that if you draw it on a graph, it is impossible to get the wrong answer because all you have to do is be able to count. Is everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now do the other one. I'll do it in blue. Where does the first dot go? 0, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Where's the second dot go? 0, 3. Straight up and down. What kind of slope is that?
Boring.
That's the boring one? Or is that the death one?
Death one.
That's the death one. That's not skiing, that's falling. If you are skiing down a slope and minding your own business, la la la. Woo!
There's got to be a jump again in that,
And then, one leg, two leg, body, arm, other arm, head.
Where are the skis?
Oh, it's supposed to be red now. Still supposed to be red. Well, he's dead, so those are the stink lines.
Pancakes.
Where's the ski?
Oh, the ski's still up there. The ski knew he didn't want to go over the edge.
The ski's not.
Yeah.
It's a
play.
Right? Okay. Again, if the line is graphed, how do you find the slope? Count. Oh, that's the infinite slope. That's undefined. Because it goes forever. Is everybody good? Yes, it is a bit of a throwback to kindergarten. Now, when you turn the page over and you get to letter K, what do you see? You see no graph. Dum, dum, dum! No, you do not draw your own because we are not in kindergarten. What you do is you recognize that slope equals a whole bunch of things. One of those things is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. yx, yx. xy, xy. What's that?
X and Y.
That's an x. What's that? That's a y. What's that? That's an x. What's that? That's a y. But if I do y minus y, I get 0, Mr. Myers. I know, because you understand algebra, because I taught you algebra. But this is not y minus y. This is y2 minus y1. Who is doing this question? We all are. So who is in charge of this question? We all are. Who gets to name these points? You do. If you name this guy as x1, what does that make this guy? y1. Which makes this guy x2, which makes this guy y2. Now, all you need to do is know that. Do you have to know it? Of course not, because again, we are gracious enough to give that to you, even. All you have to do is be able to follow it. So, slope m equals, which number is y2? 1. What number is y1? 7. So 1 minus 7 over. What number is x2? -6. Minus. What number is x1? 2. What is 1 minus 7? -6. What is -6 minus 2? -8. Two negatives make what? +6/8, which then gives me 3/4. Does everybody understand? Can you do it wrong? It's really, really difficult. You have to take that number and write it anywhere it says x1. Right? Now, just to show you that it does not matter what you name your points, observe. Mr. Myers, you're too crazy. Somebody stop you. What are you doing? How can you do this to us? Oh no. 7 minus 1 over 2 minus 6. What's 7 minus 1? 6. What's 2 minus 6? 2 plus 6, which is 8. 6/8 is 3/4. Oh my good gravy. Gots it? Prove it. What's the slope in L? Go. When you think you have a chance at having the right answer and would like a gummy bear, please offer it to me.
Oh, I want a gummy bear.
Yeah, but you spent the first few minutes with your sweatband over your eyes going like this with Kingston. So you aren't ready for it yet. You have already had a gummy bear today. You answer every question. I'm going with Christian, who never talks. Hit me. Pardon me? 4 for the X's and 11 for the Y's. So what would the slope be? You can have half a gummy bear. What? 4 over negative 11?
Negative 6 over 11?
Wow. Again, I have done a bad job.
Oh, wait, no. 11.
Never mind. We'll just write it out.
11 over negative 4.
11 over negative 4. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Slope equals, what is Y2? 15. Minus, what is Y1? 4. Over, what is X2? Negative 5. Minus, what is X1? Minus 1. 15 minus 4 is 11. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. What if you went the other way? M equals 4 minus 15 over negative 1 minus 5. 4 minus 15 is negative 11. Negative 1 minus 5 is positive 4. They are the same value. Again, I am trying to be good about this. Take the points, write them down, do some subtraction. Write down what you see. Don't try to lawyer ball yourself. Oh, I'm subtracting a negative with another. I don't know. Write it down, and you can't do it wrong. Let's pretend you cannot do this in your head. So you go to your calculator. Negative 1 minus negative 5 equals. Okay? Okay. Now, what's different in 3? You have the lines, which means we can now count, can't we? What's weird about A? Well, we're just going to count. We're going to go from that point to that point. Why can't you do that? Pardon me? That's not a problem, because we don't care about that. It's just rise over run. Anybody got another idea? Why are the endpoints of this no good? They don't end on specific points. Do you know that guy's exact X and Y coordinates? No, because it doesn't come to a corner. Do you know that one's exact X and Y coordinates? No, it doesn't come to a corner. And yet, the line obviously has a slope, doesn't it? So how do we find the slope? Well, we know we need 2 points. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start my red dot right there. You tell me when I should stop moving at a spot that I could use. See if you understand what's going on. There? There? Okay. Now tell me where the next one is. Somebody said there. Anybody else?
Right there.
There.
That's the one I would use. So, do I now have 2 points on the graph? What do I know about lines? They're a line. What does that mean?
Straight.
They're straight. For how long? Ever and ever and ever and ever. Which means if you know one slope of one part of it, do you know the slope of the whole line? So how do I find this slope? I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Positive or negative? Positive, the way I counted. Now this way. How far?
-2.
1, 2, negative. So what's the slope?
-2.
-7/2. Right? Great. What's C? Death or regular?
Death.
Death. So that is what slope? Undefined. What's D? Boring. 0 slope.
Instagram selfie.
Everybody do B.
Yeah.
Everybody do B. B is fun for me, and there's a reason. When you feel you have a value to assign to that slope, cluck like a chicken. That's true. Math teacher says, cluck like a chicken when you think you have a value. You guys are lame cluckers. Man, I can't believe how bad you guys are at clucking. It's horrible. All right, who would like to give me a value for it? Ash. You say it's a half. So Ash says it's 1/2. What do you say?
4/9.
4/9. Who else has some? Anybody got something else? What do you have? 5/11. What else? Anybody?
I think the 1/2 is
Now let's look at this. Are they all approximately the same?
Yeah.
Is 4 approximately half of 9?
Yes.
Yep. Is 5 approximately half of 11?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I were to tell you I would give all 3 of these people I would give them full marks, how can that be?
Because we're all very close.
Exactly. How would you prove to me that you knew something and weren't just guessing? You would draw it. As long as you drew it, I would let you go. Some of you went with these 2 points. Up 1/2. Some of you said, no, those are too close. I don't like those 2 points. And you went here. No, sorry, here. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to there. Some of you went down here and went up 5 and over 11 to the same point. If you show me that, do you get full marks? Why? Because you showed me that you know what's going on. The photocopying isn't great. It's projected on a screen miles away from you. It's the 2700th time this has been photocopied. It's not perfect. So what do you have to do? You have to show me knowledge. Now, some of you will say, well, Mr. Myers, where would you put it? I tell you right now, I would use the red one. So if I were making a key for this test and I used the red one, which was 5/11, and you wrote 1/2, but you didn't give me any other stuff, what would I say? I'd probably give you a half mark because it's pretty close. What if you said it was 7/8? I'd give you nothing. Do you understand?
Why would you pick the red one though?
I would pick the red one because it is the farthest apart. So it allows me the most accurate distance. I find points that are at the farthest ends of the line.
That's what I think before now.
But that, again, that's fine. You knew that it was rise over run. Okay, now, last thing before we let graphing go and make you have to do algebra.
No.
Yeah.
I'm good at this.
Somebody draw me a triangle in which all 3 sides have a positive slope. See if you can figure it out. Triangle needs how many lines? 3. You know what a positive slope looks like. You've done 1, 2, 3, 4 of them today alone. Try to draw me a triangle with all 3 positive slopes. If it helps, there's a graph. I'm just saying, if it helps, you don't need one. I can do it without the graph, but some of you may want one. To draw a line. I must make a line, yes? Which means I must start with a point and end with a point, correct? Does it matter where I put my point to start? So I'm going to put my point here. How would I make a side of the triangle that had a positive slope? Where would I have to go? Up and to the right. Up and right. Is that a positive slope? Excellent. So I'm a third of the way there, aren't I? Now how do I make another positive slope? Up and right. Right? Okay, so up, and I'm going to go right way over to here. Is that still positive? Great. How do I make the third side? Just connect them, because I went up and right for all of them. Does everyone understand? Do you all understand? Great. Now draw on the same graph all negative slopes. Of course it's just the same, Louis, except what? Instead of going up and right, I go... No, down and left would still be positive. Down and right or up and left. So go, do it. Okay, now draw a positive one. Okay. So I'm going to change to green for my negative one. I'm going to choose any point to start at. I'm going to start here. How do I get a negative slope? If I go down and left, I'm covered. Or down and right, I'm covered, right? Okay, now I need another negative slope. Do it again. Down and right, way out here. And then connect the dots. Everybody good? Now give me one with a 0 slope and one positive and one negative slope. How do I make a 0 slope? Flat line. How do I make a positive slope? Up and right. Up, right. Whoop. How do I make a negative slope? Up, left. Whoop. Done. Yep. Now give me a triangle that has an infinite slope, a 0 slope, and a negative slope. Bum, bum, bum. So now I want infinite, 0, and negative. Then why aren't you clucking like a chicken? I didn't say clap like a seal. I know, right? And they wonder why girls don't talk to them. Okay, what do we got? How do I make a 0 slope? Flat line. Oop, I don't want to use black. Silly Myers. A dusty rose. How do I do an infinite slope? Up and down. Great, but I also wanted a negative slope. So is my vertical line coming on the right or the left? On the left, because a negative slope has to be that way. Can everybody do negatives and positive slopes? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I do try my best. All right, we now need to put together every piece of math you've ever learned in these questions. Okay? All right. Let us begin, cabbages.
Why do you call us cabbages? Why can't we be something cool?
Because lettuce. Let us. Lettuce and cabbages look similar. Okay, let us begin, large Brussels sprouts. All right, What do I know about x and y intercepts? I know we did learn it a long time ago. It was Friday. What do we know about x and y intercepts? It's where the line crosses the axis. Absolutely. So, do we know anything about their coordinates? He waited patiently for his students to flip back 2 pages in their notes to the stuff they were taught 2 days ago. Do we know anything about x and y intercepts? Yes, I did. He waited patiently. Corey?
X-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis.
Yeah, Ash said that 5 minutes ago. I want to know more than that. Well done, Ash. Still waiting, though. If only people would just turn to page 179 that opens with graphing using intercepts.
Lines cross other lines.
Anyone. Just looking for one bit of, I got something from you last day, Mr. Myers. One bit. Just begging, pleading, on my knees for one of the 30 of you to have learned one thing last Friday. Aisha! Oh, yay! X, 0, and 0y. 0y. Now, what do you see there and there? An X. What do you see there and there? A Y. If that's an X, what can I write there instead of X? Nothing. I gots to write X, don't I? So, I have 3x minus 2. What can I write there instead of y? 0 plus 8 equals 0. What is 3x? What's 2 times 0? So do I write it again? No. 3x plus 8 equals 0. What is my job when I see an equation that has a letter in it? Get rid of everything else. Isolate the letter. How do we do that? Algebra. How do I do there? Minus 8. Where else? Minus 8. 3x equals negative 8. Now what? Divide by 3. What does x equal? Negative 8 thirds. Now, if x equals negative 8 thirds, what can I write there? Negative 8 thirds. Now, do I have an x and a y? I have a y, it's 0. Do I have an x and a y? Could I put this point on the graph? Yes. Should I put it on now? Why not? I might need to change the scale, right? So we're going to leave it alone until we've done the y-intercept. Do you think anything changes? No, except what you sub in. That is an x value, correct? So what do I put there instead of x? 0. Minus 2 what? Y plus 8 equals 0. Do I need to write that anymore? No. Negative 2y plus 8 equals 0. Negative 2y equals negative 8. What does y equal? 4. If y equals 4, what can I write there? 4. Which means, do I now have a second point with both sets of coordinates? Yes. Now I'm in trouble though, aren't I? Because I need 8/3. So what do I need to change? The x scale or the y scale? That's an x value, so I need to change the x scale, don't I? If I make the x scale 1, 2, 3, I make that 1, then what is each square worth? 1/3. How many thirds do I need to move? 8/3. In what direction? Negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And y value of 0, yes? Now, can I keep that same scale on the y-axis? Why not? I don't need to, but even if I needed to, I couldn't on this graph, could I? Why? There's not enough space. I will not get up to 4, will I? So on the y scale, I got to leave it normal. So how do you show your teacher that you understand that? You mark this as 1. And where do you put your dot? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you connect your line. Now, here is where every one of you is going to answer my next question wrong if you attempt it. What is the slope of this line? What is slope? Great. What's the rise of this line? 4. So my slope is 4 over, what's the run of this line? Yes, you can. What is this value? 8/3, right? So this is 8/3. So the slope is 4 divided by 8/3. Rise over run. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay? So that is the same as 4 over 1 divided by 8 over 3, which is the same as 4 over 1 times 3 over 8, which is 12 over 8, which is 3 over 2. Does everybody understand? If it's on the graph, but the scales are different, can we just count squares? No, we must use values. Is everybody good? Okay. Now, on number 6, we're going to do two things. We are going to do this graphically, and then we are going to do it algebraically. Normally I do it the other way around, but after this morning I realized I need to do graphically first. So, what can you tell me from all the information that I am highlighting? What of that can I put on the graph right now? I can put point A on the graph at 2, 6, correct? So, point A, 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does everyone agree that that is just ducky? Everyone happy with that? Is there anything else about this graph that I know? I know a slope of 2, and I know what else? B must be, 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere on this dotted line, mustn't it? Right? Because it's got an x value of -4. Does everyone agree? Everyone agrees? Now, Corey, what do we know about slopes?
If it's, you can make a double negative too.
Uh-huh.
So you can go backwards and down to find it.
Uh-huh. So if I go, how would I go from here to the next point on the graph, keeping a slope of positive 2? What do I do, Asia? You know, what do I do? You know. What is slope? Rise over run. I need it to be positive, but I need to get over to this red line, don't I? So my runs all have to be negative, don't they? So what must my rises be? Down. So down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line yet? Down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line yet? Down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line yet? Down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line yet? Down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line yet? Down 2 over 1. Am I at the red line?
Yeah.
Great. What is my y value?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So y must be negative 6. Is everybody cool? Can everybody do this? Great. Now, you do what I just did on the next graph. Put the point you know, put the dotted line, use the slope to figure it out. All right. Do I have a point on the graph that I know?
Yes.
Where is it?
Negative 1 and 5.
-1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, +5. Everyone agree?
Yes.
What else do I know?
Your slope.
I know my slope, and I know that the other point, I know something about it. It's got a y value of what? Which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right down here, yes?
Yes.
So somewhere on there is where my x value is, yeah? Okay, how do I find it? My slope is -3/2. So, to be negative, I must have one value that is down, and the other value would be to the right, or up and to the left. Which one do I need here? Down and right. So down 1, 2, 3, and right 1, 2. Is that at the red line? No. Down 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2. Is that at the red line? No. Down 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2. Is that on the red line?
Yes.
What is my x value? 5. Can everybody who bothered to do this do it?
Yeah.
Good. Now, I'm going to shrink it down a little, and we are going to go back to here, and we are going to pretend that we have no graph.
Well, that's not very nice.
Oh no! What will we do?
Make a graph.
No, we will not make a graph because we're big kids. We are going to put on our big kid calculators and do big kid math. What do I know about all this information? What is this?
Put A.
That's an X. What's this? That's a Y. What's this? That's an X. What's that? That's a Y. What's that? An M. Do I know anything that has M and 2 X's and 2 Y's in it? Damn straight I do. M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Who names them? You do. M, slope, 2. Slopes rise over run, though. That's only a number. What do I do? 2 over 1 equals. What number do you wish to make y2? Does it matter? I would use the y, because then it stays positive. So if this guy's y2, what's this guy? y1, so it's y minus 6. Over, what's x2? Negative 4. Minus 2. Simplify everywhere you can. 2 over 1 equals y minus 6 over what? What's negative 4 minus 2? Negative 6. Now you must be able to do algebra. How do you solve every single algebraic problem that is fraction equals fraction? Not quite. You could try to see if things cancel out, but what always works is this. Just like we did in the first unit when we were canceling and converting units, just like we did in trig, right? What is 2 times 6? Oh yeah, no, you're right. There's a negative there. Negative 12 equals. What's 1 times y minus 6? Y minus 6. How do you solve that? So add 6 to both sides, yes? What is negative 12 plus 6? Y equals negative 6. What did y equal? Negative 6.
Wow.
Is everybody good? Do the same thing in 7. You already know the answer, but try it algebraically. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Fill it in. What goes in for M? Negative 3 over 2. Could I have put that negative on the bottom if I wanted to? Yeah. What goes in for y2? Who decides? You decide. What do you want to make y2?
Negative 4.
Great. So it's negative 4 minus what? 5 over x minus negative 1. Simplify. Negative 3 over 2 equals, what's negative 4 minus 5? Negative 9 over, what's x minus minus 1? X plus 1. Now what do? Every time you see fraction equals fraction? We call it cross multiplying. That's not really what it is, but we call it that. So we'll keep doing it. What's 2 times negative 9? Negative 18. What's negative 3 times x? Negative 3x. What's negative 3 times 1? Negative 3. What do I do with negative 3? Add both sides. What's negative 18 plus 3? Negative 15 equals negative 3x. What's my last step? Divide by what? What's negative 15 divided by negative 3?
Positive 5.
X equals 5. What does x equal? 5.
So why have you been playing with graphs this whole time?
Because, Eric, all of you, if I hadn't had this graph here, would have had the nerve to say to me, I don't get it. But as you can quite plainly see, it's perfectly simple. You guys do number 8. Do I care which way you do it? No. What way should you be doing it in the 10th grade? Algebra. Are you allowed to count it out on a graph? Yes. If I gave you this on a test without a graph, could you say, Mr. Myers, could I have some graph paper for this question? Would I give it to you? Would you be allowed to do that? Yes. What will help you more later? The algebra way. Learn as much or as little as you see fit. Go. I'm going to do the graphy one first. Can everybody do this?
Give me 1 second.
This is all you need to say.
Hold up. Did you get 4?
Yes, I did.
Good man. Now, if you have been doing the graphing way, then number 9 will be incredibly difficult for you because the answer is not an exact point. It's a fraction, which means it's very difficult to do by graphing. Remember, what are there more of in the universe? Fractions or whole numbers? Fractions, which means you have to be able to deal with portions of whole numbers. So if you have been only doing the graphing one, the best you can do for number 9 is give me an approximate answer, right? If you show me all this work and I was grading you on the 1, 2, 3, 4 scale, and you were to do the graph one and say, well, it's about this, what do you think I would give you? 2, because you understand the X's, the Y's, the rises, and the runs, right? But if you want that 4, if you're planning on doing anything mathy, and when I say anything mathy, I mean a whole bunch of things that you don't think are mathy but actually are, you really need to be able to puzzle your way through the algebra. Does everybody understand? So try 9, even if you haven't been using algebra, try 9 with the algebra now. Just try it. You will be pleasantly surprised, I hope. Somebody say a color.
Green.
Rainbow.
I like
Purple.
green.
Purple.
And I went gasoline green. Yeah, I'm green. Yeah. Some gasoline. Sometimes you can't remember that.
Does everybody understand the first step? Write out the equation. Does everybody understand that? Great. Does everybody understand the value that I can write for m right now? M, we know, means slope. Am I given a slope here?
Yes.
What is it?
5/2.
So 5/2 becomes m. Does everybody understand where we get the numbers for y2 and y1?
Yes.
They are the y values. They are there and there. Does everybody understand that you get to choose which is which? Okay. I always like to keep a y positive if I can. So if that y is already positive, so I'm going to make him y2, which makes this guy what? y1. And now I can put that into my equation. Y minus 2. No matter what it is, we just follow this. We will simplify it later. Over. If that's y2, what does that make this guy? x2. So it's 2 minus 3. Now simplify. 5/2 equals, what's y minus 2? Y plus 2. What's 2 minus 3? 2 plus 3, which is 5. Now what? Cross. What's 5 times 5? What's 2 times y? 2y. Plus 2 times 2? 4. How do I get rid of the 4? Minus 4. Where else? Minus 4. What does that equal? 21 equals 2y. Divide by 2. What does y equal? 10.5. If y equals 10.5 and I see a y right there, what can I write there?
10.5.
10.5. So what is the point on the graph? 2, 10.5. And that would be very difficult to put on this graph, wouldn't it?
Yes.
especially since the graph is so small. Is everybody good? Listen to me and listen to me carefully. I want to give you your tests on Wednesday so everyone can write it at the same time. I do not like giving the tests on staggered days. Okay? I hate it. It's a pain in my rear, and there are so many of you involved. I'd like to believe all of you are being honest, but I cannot guarantee that. So I'm going to give you your test Wednesday. So here's what you need to do. First of all, if you haven't, you should watch the extra review. I made the video on Friday. Okay? I don't think anybody's watched it because nobody in the first class said they did. So you should watch it. You got till Wednesday now. Right? Today, practicing this will help you for that final or that test. Listen to me closely. 188 and 189 is what I want you to work on tonight. Tomorrow in class, you will notice that our next thing is a slope quiz, right? So tomorrow in class, I want to do that. It's an in-class thing. Don't worry about it because it's only a quiz, right? We won't do it till the end after we've talked about it. Okay? Everybody cool? And we won't do it in the end till the end of class because tomorrow in class, if you look on page 190, you see the first thing from this unit that is worth marks. Okay? You're going to work on that in class tomorrow. Do not bother doing page 190 at home because you're going to need something to do tomorrow. We're going to mark it in class, we're going to grade it in class, and you're going to write a quiz on this stuff tomorrow. Everybody cool? All right. Do 188 and 189 tonight. If you are a member of the 95% of this class that do no homework ever, and you choose finally, you think maybe I should start doing a little practice. If you choose to do no other homework all year, do 188 and 189 because the rest of the year is going to be incredibly difficult if you cannot function with slopes and substituting numbers into formulas. Okay? If you have done no work all year, and believe me, I have a list of all the people who have done no work all year. I know who you are. If you choose to do any work this year, do these 2 pages before you try 190. Clear?
Clear.
Lovely.